we have one of the biggest demands in this country for electricity. Have you seen the news on this, Eric? And I want to ask you because you're in the field.
Yeah. I mean, there's a big demand right now for electricians and electricity because, first of all, the construction is going on. But the biggest thing is a lot of things are being converted to electric. They're kind of doing away with gas, doing away with some of the other things, and they want to make clean energy. And clean energy is electricity for the most part. You got the EV station. The EV station is what for the electric cars, electric vehicles. That's really popular now. Almost everything is Wi-Fi and, you have all these smart houses and all those kinds of things. And they're just developing more and more, and that falls all in our trade.
Business Money Podcast. 1, 2, 3, 4. Business Money Podcast Fearless. Business Money Podcast Fearless. Business Money Podcast.
Welcome to the Business Money Podcast, where intelligent financing meets strategic thinking. Today, we're very excited to talk to you about how the world is changing, how supply chain is changing. Basically, everything that you hear in the news about reshoring, nearshoring, about construction, about the trades. The trades is a very important thing that we have had here in the United States that we're very proud of. And today we're going to talk about that with a champion. He's a champion in trades, particularly in the electrical basically side. So allow me to introduce Eric Truxon from justitselectric.com. Eric, how are you today?
I feel great, Andres. I am so happy to be here, and I just love the opportunity to share about our trade, in particular, of course, electrical, but the trades in general and the importance of what's going on in this society right now.
Very good point, my friend. So, Eric, I'm going to do a little brief introduction of who you are. Eric Truxon is a licensed electrical contractor and owner, of course, of Just It's Electric LLC in Philadelphia, bringing 35 years of hands-on experience to every project. He's passionate about entrepreneurship, mentoring tradespeople, and showing homeowners and business owners how solid electrical work powers real growth. When he's not on the job, Eric is an indoor cycling instructor, sports fan, and community builder who loves making people smile. I can tell that because every time I talk to you, you're always smiling, my friend. All right, Eric. Well, enough of basically, me giving you props, but please tell us, why is this your mission? What problem are you trying to solve?
Well, this is my mission because out here in society, people just don't understand what it is to own a business, which they don't necessarily have to own a business, but they have to understand that and understand that we're here to help them and they need to help themselves. And, these long-term corporate big company jobs aren't necessarily guaranteed anymore. 30, 40 years now, I've talked to people who have problems getting vested. So you just need to understand that small business owners or entrepreneurs, make up a good part of the hiring practice and hire a bunch of us. So you need to know who we are and what
Well,
we do.
correct. So, I always say, and this is something, that we're talking to a lot of people. So I think that we discussed before, Eric, I'm also very passionate about entrepreneurship. I come from entrepreneurs, my family, my father, my mother, my grandfather, they've been entrepreneurs. I saw them, actually in trades and growing, and I work with them since I was a little kid. I'm, talking about being, really getting my hands dirty since I was little. But because I understood the basically the value of hard work and labor. And one of the things that I wanna basically understand is right now, you mentioned that you're trying to basically show people, how we need electricians, how we need tradesmen. So why tradesmen in particular on the electrical side? Tell me a little bit about the need and what do you see out there, when you're trying to fulfill this mission?
Well, tradesmen on the electrical side, we definitely have a lack of young people coming into the trades. I think that's changing now. But all you have to do is look at any city. It used to be just the big cities, but you look at any city now, there is so much construction going on. It's ridiculous. Someone has to do the work, and then people talk about robotics and all that stuff, and they're going to get robots to do this and that. They can get AI, they can get robots, they can get different programs and stuff to do a lot of things, but they can't do what these two hands can do in construction trades.
You are correct, Eric. Well, I mean, look, eventually they're going to develop some kind of robot that has I mean, I'm sorry, basically the maneuverability of our hands and stuff like that. But I want to show you a statistic that is very important to us. We were discussing, and I will mention, just a shameless plug. I was speaking at the Great American Franchise Expo this weekend. Why? Because we're talking to light industrial, basically entrepreneurs and individuals that are basically seeing that there's not a pathway for those C-level executive jobs, a lot of those jobs in offices that are really going away with what's happening. But I want to show you one of the things that we see that is very interesting. So right now, we have currently, basically in our society, we're seeing right now that Gen Z is becoming the tool belt generation. Our young men are understanding that, hey, if I want to own my future, if I really want to be an entrepreneur, what is the country calling for right now? It's calling for those blue collar jobs to be fulfilled and suffice. And that is where we're going to grow a lot because we're reshoring, bringing in a lot of our CNI, commercial and industrial, all of those warehouses, all of those data centers and plants and things that we're going to need. They're coming right here. So we need those electricians. So that was very interesting when I wanted to show you. What do you think about this, Eric? Do you think that that's what you see out there in the field when you talk to young men?
Honestly, I do see that. I do see that 100%. But the only issue that comes up, we got about a 20-year glut where that wasn't going on. So you have guys 55, 60, 65, 70 who are still kind of holding on because it's no one in the middle. That 19-year-old who I love, and I love the energy, but somebody's got to be there to teach them.
How can we do that? How can we help our young basically our young entrepreneurs to really awaken and understand the need? And basically, there are jobs available for this. There are jobs and companies that you can establish. How can we help?
We can help them by doing things like this, like talking, just sharing things with them. And like I said, I'm a real firm believer in entrepreneurship, and even to the point that our company gives out a scholarship, couple scholarships each year where we have uh, young adults who are in school write essays on owning their own business. They don't have to be the owner, but just so that they understand what it is. And guaranteed, I think someone had talked about before with me that there's a certain percentage of people who will own business and there's a certain percentage of people who will work for them. But everybody needs to understand what it is to own a business, in my opinion.
Okay, well, you touch on a very good point, Eric, which I'm personally passionate about. Just as you have your mission, of course, with your business, with your organization, and leading the education of tradesmen, in this field, I try to lead the young entrepreneurs right here in basically, in the country to be able to get to business ownership. There's two things that happen with business owners. All right. I look at everything statistics. So when we do a SWOT analysis of a young man, I love doing this. I'm like, okay, I want to talk to a young man. I want to understand him. All right. What is he, and young woman as well. Of course, we have them. But what is it that they have? What is their strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats? What strengths can we support? And then how can we basically reduce their weaknesses, so they can rise up? One of the things that I know is 30% of the population, let's say we look at the numbers, 30% of the population are actually coachable to become business owners. All right. So that's a good chunk. It's not 100%, but it's 30%. The other 70% need to be able to support the other 30%. So we need them to be educated. And most people do not know how to start a business. We discussed this, because I'm the vice president of one of the biggest Hispanic Chamber of Commerce in Houston in Spanish, where we're educating. I'm also the chairman of the Latino Franchise Council here in the United States. I want to be able to incubate as many entrepreneurs as possible, but not everybody's going to know how to put a business plan, how to study, how to do everything. So that's why franchising to me is a great business model to teach someone to have their business because it comes from A to Z. That's just an example. There's other examples where you go as an apprentice into companies. You go and learn. You go and maybe support that business owner that is trying to create those jobs. But I think we should talk about these things because I think more than ever, I am encouraging everyone to really look into business ownership instead of going and spending, as much money as they could, because of course, those college tuitions, they're always going to charge you a lot of money, but do not guarantee you success. Does that make sense to you, Eric?
That makes 100% sense to me. That makes a whole lot of sense. You run into that all the time. You have people who just want to get all this education and they think that's going to be it. But they have to learn how to, well, like you said, their strengths and their weaknesses, and they have to learn how to adapt and decide what they want to do. And we should be there to guide them for sure. I always believe that people have it in them what they want to do, and it's just our job to coach it out of them rather than pointing them what to do. They have an idea what to do, but someone has to pull it out of them and let them realize that they know what to do.
I love that, Eric. I think that, you know what that is? That is you having empathy for the young man. That is you having, or the young man and girl that are coming into the workforce. It's for you seeing basically, okay, how can I help the next generation? And that comes from a level of, like the six needs, that we have as humans. It's that part of legacy and contribution that you're fulfilling. I want to point out something, Eric, which you mentioned, which is you have a scholarship program. And I want to invite people to look at your website. And we're going to look at it real quick, if you don't mind,
Yeah,
where
sure.
we give light to your website. And one of the things I found very interesting was, wow, okay, justitselectric.com. If you go to the scholarship program, so tell us a little bit about what is this program, basically, what is its mission?
So the mission of this program is just to educate young people or even old people who are in school who want to who are in college and they're in a full-time position going to college, and they have to write an essay on what they believe or anything about owning your own business. And what we do is the top essays, whether it be one, two, three, four, it depends on two things: how much money we raise and how much money I made that year, so I can match it and add to it. Or not I, the company rather. And what happens is I just think we really need to share with people what it is to own your own business. And it's real simple. They can do everything on the website, just like you saw and you showed. They can do everything that they need to do on the website. And then we have a team that looks at it and judges which ones are the best. I don't judge which one are the best because that's not my forte. I an electrician and a business owner, not a
No,
writer. But I know what I like, but you got to have professionals do what they do. And that's one thing that we learn as business owners. You stay in your lane. Basically, you get help from other people, and I try to give help when I can, and I try to get help when I can, and try to teach that to our young people that that's what you do. You can't do everything. You probably can do everything, but it take you way too long. So you use, other people.
well, and it's about collaboration. And I think that's the most successful business owners, entrepreneurs, and leaders that I've met in my life, and I'm blessed to, have known a lot of people that are in very good positions. They're never alone. I mean, it's like, we create basically an ecosystem between, like, okay, you are strong in this, you lead this, you are strong in that, I will support you. And, and other leaders come to really support you. That's why I believe in leadership. Sometimes, like you got to know, okay, I'm going to lead this because I know how to do it. And it's a passion, it comes in the SWOT analysis that we discuss and the strengths of the person. But other times I'm just there supporting other leaders because that's what I believe in. And that's how we make ourselves stronger. But I do believe in this. So this particular piece, tell me, anybody all over the country, can they come and join your scholarship program? Do you have to be in Pennsylvania, or tell me what, where do I need to be?
No, you don't have to be in Pennsylvania. I mean, it would be nice, but the best scholarship wins. I mean, the best essay wins the scholarships. You know, no, you don't have to be in Pennsylvania. I mean, it would be nice because we like to give out a plaque and take pictures and all that, but I mean, we can still send the plaque wherever. The best essays win. Usually it's Pennsylvania, New Jersey. One time a person came up from Atlanta, and that's only because it's been local. But I mean, with shows like this and opportunities like this, it spreads out. And the more we get around, the bigger it can be. I would love to, instead of reading, we may read 50 or 100 essays. I would love to read 1,000 essays. I don't make the decision, but I look at every one, and then we have a team that makes the decision.
Beautiful, beautiful. Okay, so tell me, okay, so who do you think has um, a better opportunity to be in this field? Tell me about that young man or woman that is looking into an entrepreneurship, about the scholarship. Who is it? Who is that person? Tell me a little bit about
Entrepreneurship, my opinion, the successful entrepreneur is the person who pick something that they love, not something that they did a Google search and it said electrician makes $60 an hour, so I want to be an electrician because that's a lot of money. No, you should do it because you want to be an electrician. I'm an electrician because when I was a kid, I watched the telephone repair guy and I watched the electrical guy climb up on the pole and all that. I'm a little older now, so I don't really climb up on the poles anymore, but I can if I have to. And that just was so intriguing to me. And I didn't start out doing that, but I came full circle to that. So I think the most successful entrepreneurs are the ones who pick what they love to do and just do it, because the money will come. If you're really committed to it, you'll make the money, but you're not going to make the money. You're not going to be happy. I don't like when I hear people, oh, I can't stand this job. I can't wait till I retire. I said, well, why are you there then?
Yeah, no, no, and look, I actually look. It's something that we discussed before. It's I think that in this particular, young man or woman that is looking at and listening to us right now, and they're saying, okay, I want to know how can I get into the scholarships? How can I learn to be an electrician? I think they already have a natural inclination and very curious about how things work. Maybe they've been those kids that took apart like toys and try to understand, okay, what's inside of this, and I want to know, and then damage it and probably fix it, hopefully. But or they saw basically in their community, or their family and friends and other people were influenced by, hey, look, Eric, like, I mean, he taught me how to fix this. Oh, if there was a problem with the electrical wiring, with the house, which we're going to get to a couple of things why it's so important right now to guide people to become very, very well versed on being an electrician and being a tradesman in this field. Well, we have one of the biggest demands that we have experienced right now in this country for electricity. Have you seen the news on this, Eric? And I want to ask you because you're in the field.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there's a big demand right now for electricians and electricity because, first of all, the construction is going on. But the biggest thing is a lot of things are being converted to electric. They're kind of doing away with gas, doing away with some of the other things, and they want to make clean energy. And clean energy is electricity for the most part. You got the EV station. The EV station is what? For the electric cars, electric vehicles. That's really popular now. Almost everything is Wi-Fi, and you have all these smart houses and all those kinds of things. And they're just developing more and more, and that falls all in our trade.
Eric, I want to throw a statistic right here that we saw in regards to a study that basically was done with Lawrence Berkeley National Laboratory and the Brattle Group about what is going on right now with electrical companies or investments in electrical companies. If you are looking at the screen right now, you're going to see basically right now on the left and on the right investments by electrical companies or electric companies. All right. So we're going to see how the pie is basically divided. What's happening with distribution and what is happening with transmission. So we have on the left, we have the expanding budgets that they're using the money basically right now to invest. And we have the transmission on expanding. Most of the pie, it's concentrated in replacing or adapting because we have right now the biggest investment from our electrical, we call it all of our supply for electrical. It's been invested in replacing and adapting everything. And I believe that is also happening with retrofits of buildings, of commercial buildings, also, with housing, with everything. And that's why we're going to throw a couple of ideas that basically I want to point out later. Do you think this is important and this is why we should be paying attention when it comes to your trade? I believe your trade is one of the most important things that we're going to have to focus on this year's now for our country. Am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong at all. Retrofitting is very popular now and also replacing as well. And one good thing about, although some people are not retiring because we don't have a middle person, but you always see a light at the end of the tunnel or you see something good when something's bad because you had talked about adopting. So you had to be around when the stuff that's falling apart is needs to be fixed in order to know how to fix it or adapt it to the new things. So that's one of the things that our company specializes in and a lot of other companies that have been around for a while, the fact that they can make the old and the new work together rather than saying we have to rip this all out and put all new stuff in. And that is very much a part of electricity right now.
One of the things I've seen, and thank you, Eric. That's amazing, and it is true. One of the things I've seen is, especially right now, as we're getting into this, into what we call right now this new economy. Where we're really trying to understand where money, where capital, where the efforts are going. To me, it's very valuable if you are a business owner. I mean, we discussed this with restaurants, we discussed this with retail, we discussed this with manufacturing. When we look at their buildings and we look at how outdated maybe their buildings are, they don't have, let's say, a good electrical system that allows them to save money. Maybe they don't have the timers or the sensors that really save money because there's no people in those rooms. And, they're wasting. A lot of waste comes from that. I believe that is something that those are some of ideas that when I'm talking to any business owner or any entrepreneur, I say, well, talk to Eric, and talk to, Just It's Electric, because actually they can help you get basically retrofitted and well prepared so your cost of electricity really goes down. It's a reinvestment into the infrastructure. But does that make sense?
Yes, that makes a whole lot of sense because a lot of the new stuff, just like you said, the cost will go down as you move over to the LED or the EV, electric vehicle, some of those things, the Wi-Fi as opposed to old fashioned. It definitely is not just looking better and cleaner and neater and all that. Energy saving, which is power saving, which is money saving, which nobody should be upset about saving money.
Nobody at all, my friend. Well, okay, I want to throw another statistic so we understand how important your job is to your community and your apprentices, and everybody, because they need to impact the country. Right now, we've seen a spike in the cost of electricity, and that's why, we discussed the numbers on what was happening with the price of electricity. Right now, we're seeing a tremendous amount of raise in the price of electricity because of all the money that we mentioned earlier, how a lot of the electrical companies are needing to invest money into retrofitting maybe old transmission, towers, all of those things that we need to be able to keep up with the demand, because that is something that we're looking at when we're financing, like, in this case, EVEMAR Capital, we're looking at a project and we're financing, a $25 million build out. Well, guess what? The first thing that we're going to want to know is if at that location, there's enough capability for all of the demands on electrical, of course, water, and you name it. Those, is it going to be able to? And one of the things that is driving the cost, I believe, is of course the rise on basically, like the retrofitting that is happening now globally, not just in the United States, I can tell you, but this is what we're worried. About 3 cents per kilowatt basically is the cost in California. And then you see on the other darker areas where that electricity really is being affected. No matter where you're at in the country, you should look at your electrical, from your grid all the way down to your house, to the way you spend money, maybe look at efficiencies. And I believe, the electrical, system of your home, it's the primary number one, where you're probably going to find a lot of ways to be able to retrofit. I just wanted to point that out, Eric. Does that make sense in your end?
That makes a lot of sense. And to take it just a little step further is the fact that, the utility companies give out a lot of rebates for you to retrofit things or to bring things up to date. And it's two reasons why. Number one, it saves you money, but number two, it saves power and energy. And what they have in a lot of areas, especially in the US, are what you call power grids, and they are overwhelmed. So they're trying to get people to bring things more energy efficient and more cost effective, but it's also bringing down the use some and giving that grid a little break, because what they have things you call, I mean, this is a little too much, but brownouts and stuff like that come up from time to time. And that's because the grid is overwhelmed.
Right. So, and actually we've seen that, a lot of demand. I mean, we talk about electric vehicles. I mean, so one of the problems with electrical vehicles is that, is that they are demanding a lot of electricity, and they're demanding the stations. And for the stations, well, basically anything from, residential areas down to, commercial, retail, they're being retrofitted right now with those stations, charging stations, because there's a lot of people demanding. So that demand, I don't think is going to slow down or end. We're going to continue, because basically we saw that as part of our lives right now. We've been accustomed now to see those vehicles, electric vehicles, to be basically right now driving around. Not only that, talk about those vehicles, how they're basically now interrupting companies like Uber, where they're actually doing the driving themselves. So they're actual robots that are taking you from A to Z, and they're powered by electricity.
I always laugh at that because I can tell you right now, if I come up to an Uber and there's nobody there, I'm going to say, okay, I'll get the next one. But
Eric,
I
have
mean,
you been?
they're very effective. I mean, I've done my research. They're very effective, but that's just a pet peeve of mine. There's very few incidents, if any, no more incidents and it's much less actually than just everyday people driving. So that is a wonderful thing. But I always say, as far as the trades go, I can't speak on maybe other fields. Somebody's got to fix that robot. No matter what, you're always going to have a job.
That is correct. That is, and this is one of the things, and we want to leave, a lot of our young people that are listening to us right now and say, look, you are not going to be replaced by AI. You're going to be replaced by somebody that knows how to basically work on AI. That's
Right.
one piece on the, let's say, white collar jobs. Blue collar jobs, fixing, like really analyzing, viewing, seeing problems. If, you need people. Robots, you're going to need, again, Elon Musk right now is not building robots without people. He needs people to build the robot. That is going to continue. We are, again, to me, this is what makes America. Now you're talking, Eric, one of the reasons why I'm basically very passionate about this is because, you're talking to a man that came from Colombia, actually, lived here in all over the country, Chicago, Miami, Los Angeles, in Boston. Actually, I have, I still have my card, as a tradesman for carpenters. So I became a, labor, a union carpenter out there in Massachusetts. And one of the things I saw was I always took, a trade as something very valuable. It's like, oh, I can fix things. I can build things. That is amazing, to me. And that is what is going to continue to happen now, because we are seeing now reshoring of a lot of industries that were not here. We're going to start building now a lot more of our supply chain when it comes to robotics, electrical, manufacturing, and it's all tied to the trades. It's all tied to Eric, and it's all tied to Just It's Electric and the scholarship program. I invite everybody to go and make sure that they get themselves into the program. And if you're a young man, you need to do it because you are needed for the country. Well, Eric, I know we've been discussing a lot of things, and we can continue to do this all day. But I really want to be of service to you and your mission. Tell me, what do you want people to know right now of what you guys do, and how do you want other people to refer other people to go look at your company, look at your scholarship program, about your services too? You have a lot of things that you offer.
Okay, well, uh, we're Just It's Electric, licensed electrical contractor. We work primarily in the Philadelphia area, which is like the tri-state area, Philadelphia, Delaware, New Jersey. We've been to Maryland a few times, and we do everything you can think of almost electrically. We One of the things that we do since I've been around for a while is we talked about earlier. Many times people have old, outdated electrical systems that someone else may tell them that they need to throw away and get all new stuff. But we can find a way to put the good, the old and the new together and make it efficient and make it go as it goes. We concentrate a lot on retrofitting, which is a big thing. You have old lighting, you have old receptacles, you have stuff like that, and we bring it up to code where LEDs are two things. They're much brighter, they're much easier on your eyes, and the other thing is they cost less and they're energy efficient. And then the EV, that speaks for itself. The electrical vehicles, that's pretty much the way of the future. I mean, I keep hearing that the EPA is going to get rid of gasol gasoline fired vehicles. I don't necessarily believe that, but
Nope.
they can get to us. You know, they can get to us, and we can set up your EV station at your home, at your business, wherever. The scholarship program, I'm really passionate about that. I just like people. I mean, of course, I'm an electrician first and foremost, but I just love to talk about our future and our young people and the fact that we need them. We need them, and I'm glad that they're looking at the trades again because for a while they hadn't been looking at the trades. And the best way you can get in touch with us is go to our website, www.justitselectric.com, or you can give us a call at 215-473 JUST, which is the first four letters of our company, Just It's Electric. And I'm always happy to talk to people about anything, and we're always looking to grow. We're always looking for committed young people. As a matter of fact, in the Philadelphia school system, the young people have to do a certain amount of community service. So some of the trade schools and even some of the not so trade schools, we get high school kids who will come with us and shadow and stuff like that to get the credit towards their graduation with that. And I love that too, because the youth are the key to our future. If we want them to be or not, we don't really have a choice. We ain't going to be around forever. So it's up to them to be our new leaders. And we got to teach them how to do that.
We got to teach them. We got to guide them. We got to support them. We got to see value in them. We got to pour in them. We got to invest in them. We got to, I mean, if you as a human being, as a man, as a woman, get to be this age that, I myself am, we owe to the next generation to show them and to guide them and to coach them and to pour in them. pouring them our knowledge, our efforts, connect them, put them in the right rooms, put them in the right situations. To me, that's really what it's all about. And I mean, I say that because I'm part of a couple of big organizations as well, and I go champion and I go talk, and it's all about passing the torch with basically a good old American values of entrepreneurship, of basically being good and adding value and doing the best quality and living up to a higher standard. That's why I was very excited to talk to you, Eric. Thank you so much. I really appreciate what you're
Thank
doing.
you for having me. I really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed this. I enjoyed it. You just don't know. And I just love and hope that we're reaching young people, even if it's just one. That's one more.
Hey, if one at a time, my friend. Let's do
That's
that.
right.
I appreciate that, Eric. Well, thank you so much. And if you were looking at this, like again, if you are a parent of a young man, if you are deciding, okay, what is the future for my son? What is the future for my daughter? For what's my legacy? How do I want to help? Or even family, friends, neighbors. And I want to take care of my community. I invite you to go and visit Eric's landing page. Justitselectric.com, and to understand that there's a scholarship programs down for them. So you can at least guide them into having more options. And these are the options that young people are choosing, and they're making good money at this. And because, companies right now are willing to pay. And I think, like Eric, he needs young people to come and actually join the mission of Justice Electric, and continue to impact. Eric,
Yeah, indeed.
again, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And of course, if you're looking at us, we're looking forward to seeing you in the next podcast.
Thank you.